What is up, Sneeples? Heavy Hitters is here, and that means draft is too. And in this video, we're gonna go over how to draft the Guardian class, what you would need to look for, what makes your draft pile a Guardian pile, and even how to choose between Victor and Betsy. So without further ado, let's get into it. But first, I want to mention that we do have a Patreon that has a draft list ranking as well as sealed, and there's even more videos out there that gives more detailed analysis in order to improve your limited game. So if you're interested in that, be sure to go check us out. Otherwise, let's get into the basics. When drafting Guardians, we want to keep a few things in mind. First off, Guardians have the big attacks, and these big attacks oftentimes are a bit costly. So we do want to have a lot of blue pitches in our deck to afford these big attacks. So when you're drafting Guardians, try to have anywhere from 12 to 15 blues. Keep that blue pitch count on, so you are keeping track of how many blues you need to be drafting. The other thing is that Guardians block very well. Keep that trend going and pick up some block threes. Next up, Might tokens. Might tokens are particularly big here because of cards like Concuss, Command Respect, and Over the Top. These cards have very good effects once they get a bit of a buff. So if you're not going to be playing the big bop or bigger than big, then look to have Might Generation. Finally, you're going to want to have those disruption cards. So make sure you're getting a good amount of concusses, a good amount of command respects, especially when it comes to the red pitches. So now let's get into the early rounds of draft. So here we are at pack one. Pack one, we're gonna keep up. We're never gonna pick our class or a hero before we even draft. But we are going to pick cards that are very, very good. Let's get into the bombs of Guardians. So if we see these cards in the first 5 picks, we're gonna pick them up, because even if we're not gonna end up being Guardian, we just can't let those cards go. They're way too good. These are Colossal Bearing, Lay Down the Law, and Smack of Reality. Very, very good cards. These are all rares. Stonewall Impasse, the Shield, very good card. That's another rare. If you get Prime to Fight, that's a majestic, but that's a bomb in itself. The other cards we're actually looking for as well are some hybrid cards. Clash of Might and Clash of Vigor. Very, very good cards. I don't care if they're blue, yellow, or red, because they work very well for Guardians, because you can usually win clashes because you have the bigger attacks, as well as those cards block 3, so they kind of do everything that you really want to do. That's what you're going to be looking for in the first 5 picks, and then moving on, you're just going to see, like, you know, are you seeing more Guardian cards? Are Guardian cards being passed to you? Are you getting a lot of good, like, you know, solid Guardian cards like Concuss, Command Respect, Wall Up Dunk? These are all commons. They're very, very solid. If you're getting some of those, okay, it might be time to commit to the Guardian. By the end of pack 1, you probably start to feel like, okay, I'm getting a lot of Guardian cards, feeling pretty good. Let's go into pack 2. This, in pack 2, is where we decide, are we more of a Victor deck or a Betsy deck? And the determining factors is this: Victor not only wants gold, but he wants to clash. There's only 3 cards in this set that can make gold for Victor that is reliable. I'm not going to count the Majestics. Wage Gold. Now this card's just super good. This card could get drafted early on in the first pack and you're probably okay with it because it is universal, right? So Wage Gold could work. The other card is Test of Strength. Another good card. If you want to draft that early on, that works too. And then finally, Money Where Your Mouth Is. These are all generic cards that you can draft either early on, or in the case of Money Where Your Mouth Is, get past it in like the second cycle of draft for the first pack. And that can kind of determine, it's like, oh, this kind of looks a little bit more Victor. As far as for Betsy, what you're looking for is wagering cards, all right? So if you get a lot of Wage Might, Wage Vigor, that's going to work as well. Wage Gold, we talked about that. Money Where Your Mouth Is, that's another way to wage. Betsy wants to wage because then she can have an access to her ability to give it overpower, and that is how you end games. Once you get to the 3rd pack, if you're still not sure, if you have, you know, some Test of Strengths, you have some Wage Golds, you have some Wage Mights, and you have some Wage Vigors, probably just go Betsy. Betsy's going to be the easier one to work with. But if you do have quite a bit of Test of Strengths and a good amount of Money Where Your Mouth and a good amount of Wage Golds, so you can make a lot of golds. I would say you want anywhere from 5 to 6 gold production makers for Victor. to be able to consistently work. The other thing Victor works very well with is clash cards. Now all the clash cards are rares, so it's going to be hard to clash. But if you end up getting like Clash Might and Clash Vigor, or if you get some of those block cards that, you know, clash as well, that's a good sign that maybe you have more of a Victor deck. Where if you just get big attacks that can wager, then that is probably going to be more of your Betsy. And then of course there's the specializations. Both heroes have very good specialization. Golden Sun, bet big, very good. The helmet pieces, very good. I will give an edge to Betsy. I think her helmet piece is one of the best in the sealed format. Of course, if you get any of these are clear signals to go one hero over the other. But alas, in our third pack, we will finalize our Victor or Betsy deck. Now that we have chosen our hero, we will make that deck work to the best of its extent. So, just to recap, we're gonna get a lot of blues and a lot of block threes. That's how you make just a generic good Guardian deck. Then we're also going to be looking for stuff that pumps, right? Either through might tokens or just pump in general, so that our concuss and command respects can come in, as well as our over the top with a little bit of oomph that has on hit abilities. And then finally, when we're picking between Victor and Betsy, for Victor we're going to be looking for block cards that can clash, as well as cards that can generate gold. We want about 5 to 6 cards that can generate gold, and then give us as many clashes as we can get, and we'll have a good Victor deck. Where Betsy, we just want to wager and have access to wagering as many times as possible, so that when our opponent is low enough, we can be like, it's time, let's wager and let's kill with the overpower ability. So that is the Guardians of Heavy Hitters. And I appreciate you guys watching. We have Brutes as well, and we're gonna come out with Warrior tomorrow. So catch us then, but until then, keep on fabbing.